It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Gets the ball, gets back, pulls up for the win. Got it! Detroit basketball. Oh, Holloman looks the clock.
Oh my God!
The Lions go for it. The Vikings bring it. The pass is a touchdown to give.
Earlier, first one.
Deep left field again. Yes, Tigers win. Bobby is unstoppable.
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. You know, I'm going to be honest. I didn't think we'd get to this. I don't know. I just didn't expect we would finally be back in football season. I didn't know. We're just back. All right. That's the most important part. We're back. College football's, going to be into its second week this weekend, but the NFL, the kings of the sports world, they're back. And we got a lot to talk about. And I will say, normally this show is primarily, team previews. It's primarily, me erroneously predicting what amount of wins every team is going to get. It's normally the first week of the picks where we finally, week to week, and I give you who I think is going to win. Even normally we're looking back at week 1 of college football. However, Jerome Jones decided he wanted to hijack this week. He decided, no, BS Sports this week, it's not going to be just talking about who's going to be the best team, who's going to be the worst team, who's, the sleeper team, who's going to slump. None of that. No. What it's actually going to be is Micah Parsons getting traded. And we will just jump right into this because this entire sequence deserves its own little segment, because there are few times in the sports world where I am speechless, where I simply cannot fathom what the other team is thinking, or whether it's my team or another team. I just simply cannot explain it. And it is at these times that we, sometimes we go into the mind. But if in case you missed it, because it's old news at this point, the clip for this is going to be old news as well. In case you somehow were living under a rock last Thursday, Jerry Jones decided he was going to trade Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Now, raise your hand if you knew who Kenny Clark was before this trade. All right, now put your hand down because you're lying to me. Nobody knew who Kenny Clark was, unless you were a Packers fan or just the biggest, NFL junkie that you can just name defensive tackles on any random team. I didn't know who Kenny Clark was. When I heard his name, I was like, I think I literally said, who the heck is Kenny Clark? I think that was my actual words when I heard that. I got to tell you, this trade was absolutely, there's no explaining it other than this guy is demented. His brain is pudding, Jerry Jones. This is so absolutely astronomically stupid. Even if you want to say that maybe the back stuff, maybe it's real. I mean, hey, look, this Sunday we're gonna find out. He might have to take an epidural shot to play. I don't even if you say that's the case. Right now, if you think of the top 10, even top 5 players on defense in the National Football League, Micah Parsons is in that conversation. Micah Parsons is an absolute game wrecker. And it's not like we're dealing with, let's say, Trey Hendrickson, where he's going to be 31, right? We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with a guy who is 27 years old, his prime. The best years of Micah Parsons are going to be, obviously the few years he's had before, but then this year, the year after, and probably the year after. That 3-year stretch is roughly where you're going to get your best years, especially at his position. And you get 2 first-round picks and a defensive tackle that nobody had heard of. And then it gets worse. Because it'd be one thing if this was just done and nothing was said. That would be problematic enough. But Jerry Jones decided to speak to the media. And this is where we have to play the music, guys. It's one of those moments. Hit the music. This will be a work of art. All right. I hope you're ready. If you haven't heard some of these quotes by this point, get ready. So, and I quote Jerry Jones, make no mistake about it. Hold on, let me try that over. And I quote, make no mistake about it. We all know we could have signed Micah Parsons, but we decided to go with Jerry Jones says they only wanted to deal with teams that had cap room to sign Micah Parsons and had a defensive tackle to trade back. Quote, we gained a Pro Bowl player in that area. We had concerns of. The facts are we need to stop the run. We haven't been able to stop the run in 4 years. And I quote, I really like Micah Parsons. I appreciate the 4 years we had him here. He's a great player. No question I could have signed him in April. This was by design. I made him an offer. It wasn't acceptable, and I honored the fact it wasn't done how he wanted, through an agent. And finally, the cream of the crop. Jerry Jones, and I quote, those draft picks could get us top Pro Bowl type players. I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, those 2 draft picks got the Packers Micah Parsons. So I guess that's true. They could get him a Pro Bowl caliber player like Micah Parsons. That's true. All right, that's enough. Enough of the music. Enough. No more. I don't know if there's actually a rule for this because obviously there's no going back at this point. How is this trade allowed to happen? Now, you might say, oh, you're just a Lions fan. You just don't want whatever. Well, stop. That's not why this is. This guy is so in over his head. He is so completely out of his mind. He refuses to sign a guy that he said they could have signed in April, but he didn't. The problem with Jerry Jones is not just that he's a bad owner, right? That's its own problem. It's that he's your GM. And last I checked, you can't fire the owner. I mean, I've lived with it for years of the Fords. You can't fire the Fords, right? Even, in other sports, you can't fire Tom Gores. You can't fire Chris Ilitch, all right? It'd be one thing if you couldn't fire those guys and they're cheap or they're annoying or otherwise just bad for the team. It's another thing when the owner and the GM are the same person. So no matter how bad you get, no matter how tough things get, you can't just restart. And the thing is, if Jerry Jones does sell the team, which he will not, who's he selling it to? His son? Who's he like what do you think is if he gives up ownership rights and he gives up GM, he's going to give it to a yes man, which is his son or some other yes man. As long, and this is kind of unfortunate because of just a fact, as long as Jerry Jones is alive currently, they are not going to win. They're just not going to. He refuses to take any real accountability. He refuses to do the sorts of things that can help the Cowboys build an actual team. So as long as he's alive and has not sold the team, and again, we know that it is far more likely that he is not going to sell the team than that he is, then Cowboys fans, you better, I don't know, start rooting for another team. I don't, just stop watching the NFL for at least, 10 more years. Oh, maybe 5. I don't know, actually. Jerry Jones is pretty old, so I don't for at least a decent amount of time. So I would say that I feel bad for Cowboys fans, but I really don't because they're Cowboys fans, and I love seeing the Cowboys lose. But I suppose I feel bad for the individual people who just want to have a competent football team and a competent organization, because I understand that. But it is quite funny when you think that of all the teams in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, who had, for most of my life, had one singular playoff win, granted that was against the Cowboys, the Detroit Lions have been to the NFC Championship game more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you were just a casual fan, if you just like heard of the Cowboys tangentially, you would think that is absurd, but it's not absurd. That's what's even crazier. And to really round this out, I've made this point before, and I think it's worth mentioning now. The Cowboys are not a football team. They are a brand. They are not run the way that a professional football team is run. I mean, you look at how the Eagles are run. You look at how Detroit is run. You look at how Kansas City is run. You look at how Baltimore is run. It's not, it's night and day. It's like Jerry Jones is playing checkers and the rest of the league is playing chess. He's completely in over his head. So, if Cowboys fans love being, America's team for whatever that's worth, if they love, the fact that they get a bunch of national television games, despite the fact that they're really not a draw for people other than to watch them lose, then enjoy this, because this is the sort of thing that you get when you're run like a WWE program and not an NFL program. So, you hate to see it. I mean, I hate to see it, because why'd you have to trade into Green Bay? But, I guess I'm looking forward to getting to play the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football later this season in Ford Field, because we knocked them around in their stadium when they had Micah Parsons. So, yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for them. That's all right. They'll get over it. At least they have Luka. Oh, is that too soon? You got Cooper Flag. Stop complaining. Dallas fan. I was actually thinking when this Micah trade happened, I was like, so what's next? Is like Wyatt Johnston for the Dallas Stars? So you going to get traded randomly? Jake Ottinger, their superstar goalie. They're just going to trade him for nothing? Who would the Rangers trade? Because they're called the Texas Rangers, but they basically are a Dallas team. I guess they could trade like Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager. I mean, Corey Seager, Corey Seager's not really, in my mind, he's a, hold on, I am getting it right. It's Corey Seager, right? How old is Corey Seager? Yeah, Corey Seager. I mean, 31 years old. No, it would not be the same. It's like, let me actually look at their roster. Let's look at their roster right now. Yeah, because they don't really have a guy that you're thinking. Maybe like Josh Young. I mean, honestly, it would be kind of like Wyatt Langford. Like that's the name that comes to mind. 127 OPS, batting 249, 127 OPS plus, I should say. 127 OPS would be terrible, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like they don't really have that. Wow, they have Tucker Barnhart on their team. Former Tiger Tucker Barnhart plays for the Rangers. He played 8 games. He's had 15. I didn't know he was still playing baseball after his awful year with Detroit, where he had 1 home run in September. Anyway, so that's that. Normally we would start this show with actually just talking about the league. So, fine. Let's get into that right now. How about that? So, the NFL is back. Woo! We're back. NFL football is back. Oh my gosh, there's like 1 million people in the booth for the Tigers broadcast. They got Daniela Bruce, they got Dylan Larkin, and then also Jason Benetti is there. Fun fact. It was a special guest, Jason Benetti. Anyway, the NFL is back. So I got a few teams, few storylines I think to follow. It's obviously, we'll get into it more when we get into the actual win prediction segment, which will be momentarily. But I wanted to kind of talk about these storylines before we get into that. First things first is the Eagles. Eagles going into the season, obviously pretty much the same offense. you got Devontae Smith, you got A.J. Brown, you obviously got Hurts, you still got Saquon. A very good offense. And their O-line, I think, was pretty much intact. I could be wrong about that, but a very good offense last year. Certainly running the ball, a very good offense. However, they do lose a couple of pieces on defense. They lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lose Josh Sweat. They lose Darius Slay. Now, are all of those guys superstar talents? No, not necessarily. I'd say probably the biggest loss there was probably Josh Sweat. But, obviously it's hard to return to the Super Bowl. And the thing is about the Eagles, and I'm not saying this to, undermine the Eagles or to say they're overrated or anything like that, because I don't think that's true. Obviously, we know it's hard to repeat and go back-to-back Super Bowls. It was not that far into last season that people were saying Nick Sirianni needs to be fired. People like me, even. I thought that it was like, okay, this guy is in over his head. Because he had just had a losing Super Bowl, and then he followed that up with a wild card exit after an absolute collapse of a season. And then he's starting to show those signs last year, but obviously they figured it out, and it turned out to be pretty good for them to hold on to him. But there is still this sense about the NFL where I really don't know that I trust Nick Sirianni that much. And it's so weird. And this is not me saying he's a terrible head coach. He's obviously a pretty good head coach. He's made to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. But it just doesn't feel like he is one of the top guys in my mind. I don't know. Maybe, I'm sure he can erase that if he has a great year this year. But we'll see. It's going to be tough. Especially, I don't know if their defense is going to be as dominant as it was last year. I don't even know if their offense is going to be as dominant as it was last year, because you're not going to repeat what Saquon did last year. He's going to regress. It's just a fact. So we'll see, though. The other NFC East team I wanted to talk about was the Commanders. Look, I've seen it every year. Every year this happens. A team that goes out, makes a wild card, makes a run, new quarterback. Sometimes what happens is that quarterback ends up just dominant. Sometimes it's Patrick Mahomes. Other times it's C.J. Stroud or Robert Griffin or, Trevor Lawrence. These quarterbacks that have their breakout year and you feel like they're going to take over, and then the league kind of figures them out a little bit. Defensive coordinators kind of figure them out a little bit. And people forget last year, Washington, they had a walk-off Hail Mary miracle against the Chicago Bears, who were terrible. They almost lost to the Saints last year. And even in that playoff game against the Lions, they won that game on the back of 5 total turnovers? And then they got mollywopped by the Eagles. And that was a Lions team that was heavily injured. It took all of those turnovers. And even then, there were points in that game where the Lions were in it till the very end, and then, things got bad. But anyway, all of that to say, I think the Commanders, for a lot of people, myself included, I think they're going to be a pretty good team. However, they are one of the older teams. Austin Eckler's not getting any younger, and Terry McLaurin is not exactly a young puppy either. They are one of the older teams with a still young quarterback, and the question is are the chickens going to come home to roost? Is Terry McLaurin as good as he was last year? Is Austin Eckler as good as he was? Are any of these guys, are any of these older players going to live up to either just being there, but also just performing well? Injuries aside, are they even going to perform at the role that they need them to perform? And look, the Commanders, they went out, they got some players on defense. They had a decent enough offseason. But we'll see. Not the first time Dan Quinn has been a head coach either. So, for the sake of the league, I would like to see the Commanders actually be good, because they're a fun team. I know the Lions are going to have to play them, but I think, they're a fun team. Jaden Daniels is a fun player. And, the Washington market, look, for most of my life, they have not been very good. So it's cool to see a Washington team actually be successful. So, couple more here, and then we'll get into the actual tier maker. Ben Johnson and the Bears. Is this the year that Chicago gets it right? Here's my thing. And I know I'm coming at this from a very personal standpoint. I love Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was certainly the best offensive coordinator the Lions had ever had to this point. Certainly. No doubt about it. He reinvented Jared Goff. He made this Lions offense as good as it could be. He's a very smart man. He's a very, very good offensive coordinator. However, being an offensive coordinator and being a head coach are not the same job. We've seen this so many times. Josh McDaniels, great coordinator, bad head coach, right? Robert Saleh, good coordinator, not a good head coach. Like, this happens so often where guys are even, recently with the Lions, Matt Patricia, not actually that great of a coordinator, but, decent enough coordinator, not a good head coach. This happens a lot where you get these, and I don't want to, this sounds like it's going to be just degrading of Ben Johnson, but when you get these kind of super genius types, these super smart nerd football guys like Ben Johnson is, if you don't start winning, teams are not going to embrace it. Like, Kyle Shanahan is one of the smarter guys, but once those teams start losing, I mean, is he really the guy to rally around? Is he really like somebody that, fans look to and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy, I just, he's leading the troops. It's like, no, if things start going bad in Chicago quickly, especially with the way the Bears are, where, they keep, restarting with quarterback. They keep bringing in some of these pieces. They bring in a lot of Lions scraps. They have DeAndre Swift. They brought in Jonah Jackson, I believe. Like, this is a real make or break moment for them, because if you fail with Caleb Williams, then you're really going down a dark path in Chicago, where not only did you fail with one first-round quarterback in Justin Fields, not only did you fail with two in Mitchell Trubisky, you failed with three in a row. And it doesn't make it any better that, in the case of Caleb Williams, you got Jaden Daniels, who's taken one pick later, and he seems pretty good, at least so far. Again, I do think he is a smart offensive coordinator. I think he is going to help that team offensively, but I don't know if he has the leadership capabilities. Maybe he does, but it is a much different job when you got to talk to the media every week, when you got to hold players accountable, when you are the leader. This happens a lot. I mean, heck, Nathaniel Hackett, that was probably the most recent one, where you have a guy who is a very smart offensive coordinator for a particular team that was largely, orchestrated by the head coach who was putting that coordinator in the right spot to succeed. You could very well see a similar situation here. And none of this is to say that Ben Johnson is awful or bad, or that he actually wasn't that good in Detroit. That's just nonsense. He was excellent in Detroit. It's just a question of, okay, is he going to be good in Chicago? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know that they haven't gotten the head coach right in a very long time. So why they would be right about this one in particular, it beats me. So we'll see, though. And then finally, Lamar and Allen and Lamar, two quarterbacks in the AFC who refuse to just beat the Chiefs. I mean, for goodness sake, it's been like 4 years since we've had a non-Chiefs AFC team. And it's not even, I'm not even talking about Joe Burrow. But it's these two guys, the guys who have been MVP and then MVP again. These two guys, when it comes to postseason football, I'm on my last leg with them. All right. Now, I know last year they ran into each other, so there was no way for them to, it's not like each one of them kind of fumbled the bag, so to speak. But even in that game, Lamar did not play well, and then he had an opportunity to, I believe, tie it up with a 2-point conversion, and he threw a decent pass. I don't think it was perfect, but he threw a good pass that's a catchable pass for Mark Andrews and Mark Andrews Johnson. That's not Lamar Jackson's fault, but it's like, don't play terribly throughout the entire first portion of the game, Lamar, and then you don't have to worry about that. In Allen's case, Just don't play the Chiefs and you'll probably make it to the Super Bowl. Now, that's easier said than done because you don't control the seedings and how the Chiefs are going to end up. But it's like whenever the Bills play the Chiefs, they just suddenly the Chiefs become the greatest show on turf. Like last year, I was so confident. I was like, there's no way that the Chiefs are going to win this game. They finally have to play a real opponent. They finally are not just going to run away with it. Like there is no shot in hell they're going to win this game. And then they do. And then they just decide offense is going to be good now, even though it wasn't good all year. Even though, Patrick Mahomes had a bad year pretty much all season long. They just decided, you know what? We're just going to be really good again. So don't do that. Don't do that, Lamar or Allen, either one of you, because I love both these guys. All right. I don't want to live in a world where neither of these guys end up Super Bowl champions, assuming they're not playing the Lions. If they're playing the Lions, then I hope they play like garbage like they normally do in the playoffs. But if they're playing anybody else, then I hope that they play like the MVPs that they are. So, please, can anybody please? Either one of you two. I would say Joe Burrow, but I don't think that the Cincinnati Bengals want Joe Burrow to succeed. And that makes me very sad. Very sad. Tigers in a bit of a jam here. They're up 1 run. You got man at the corners with 1 out. You can get a ground ball double play. Come on now. Come on, Gibson Long. Come on, SGL. Hard to root for that guy because his name is too long. Maybe not too long. Well, yeah, too long. That's fine. That's a little long. That's yeah. All right. He's got a great mustache though. That he's got going for him. So. All right. Let me just see if we can get this set and then we'll just jump into it. Oh, close these ads. Stop seeing ads. Ad covered content. I don't lied. Just lied to Google. Oh, Jesus, a 3-0 count. Come on, SGL. Come on now. All right, let me share my screen. So, there we go. And we're gonna just because that's too tiny. I don't want to be so tiny. Okay, this is probably good. All right, so here we go. We've done this every year since we've started the show. We're going to go ahead and try to predict all of the win totals for all these teams. Now, look, few disclosures. I'm not doing the math on this. I know that technically speaking, some of these would not be possible together. I'm just looking at the team and thinking, is this team a maximum 3-win team, a maximum 6-win team, maximum 9, 12, or 13 or above? So that's how we're determining this. All right. We're not doing the math. All right. If I put 2 teams that mathematically, technically wouldn't be able to both be 12-win, I don't stop it. Okay. I'm not doing the math. So this appears to be in somewhat random order. I would say it is in an order. Like, okay, we're starting with San Fran. It's sort of in order, but I don't really understand the order at all. Like, it's not really the city. Whatever. We'll start with the San Francisco 49ers. Geez. It's a team that's going to be healthier than they were last year, but they've lost a lot in general on this team. I mean, I don't know how good Brock Purdy is. They lost Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I don't know when he's exactly going to be coming back. I don't believe he'll be back week 1. I mean, I guess I feel like they're going to be similar to where they were last year. Just kind of a bottom, but not like totally terrible. I could see them getting 6 wins. Brock Purdy, I think, is a good quarterback, but he needs to be in a better spot. He just doesn't have the roster around him to be successful. And it just kind of feels like this Shanahan era is sort of running its course. Things are going pretty bad pretty quickly here for San Francisco, whether it's the injuries or, just losing players. I don't see it. Arizona Cardinals. Look, all right. I'll bite. I'll put them at. Do I want to? Okay. You know what? I'll be bold. I think the Arizona Cardinals could win their division. I really think they could. And it's not because I think the Cardinals are that good. Kyler Murray, I'm unsure as to how reliable of a quarterback he is. But they do have a good defense. You know, they go out and they get Josh Sweat. I think that was a great move for them. They were a solid team, but they just couldn't quite get it together. I think another year of Marvin Harrison's development with Kyler Murray. You know, he can be a good quarterback. It's just really, you know, I think this is more of a product of the division that the Cardinals find themselves in is not good, basically. And we'll get into it, excuse me, as we get into some of the other teams in that division. But, I mean, look, I already put the San Francisco 49ers as a 4-6 win team. So somebody's got to win this division, right? Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I think they're probably a 13-plus win team. Their division is terrible, so they're going to be able to feast on 2 games against Cleveland, 2 games against Pittsburgh, and 2 games against Cincy. You're at bottom, or at worst, you're going 4-2 in that stretch. So, yeah, I think they're going to win at least 13 games pretty easily. I don't think that they're really gonna. I think they're going to be one of the 4 or 5 Super Bowl contenders. I'll just leave it at that. Buffalo Bills, similar deal. They're in a terrible division. They're going to feast on that. 2 games against the Jets, 2 games against the Patriots, 2 games against the Dolphins. You know it's bad for the rest of that division when the best team is the Dolphins. Like, yeah, the Bills are very good. They sort of added on defense. They got Joey Bosa. Didn't know that he was still playing. Didn't know that about him. But, yeah, they go out, they get Joey Bosa. Their offense is going to be what it is. It's good. They paid James Cook. He's very, very underrated running back, in my opinion. Josh Allen is the MVP. He's going to put probably another one of those seasons together again. So, yeah, I think they'll feast on that division. I could definitely see 13-plus wins. Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. I just don't believe. I think they could be a decent team, but Bryce Young's really only put together about a half a season worth of good football. Granted, it was the second half, so maybe you say you can build off some of that momentum. They go out, they draft a couple receivers. You know, they're trying to get him some weapons, but the problem is that defense is just not good. And their offense might be better. They might be a much more fun offense, but I really don't see any more than 6 wins on this team. I guess you might be able to say they could sneak a 7th win in there because their division is also pretty bad, but they're a part of the reason that division is bad. So, yeah. Chicago Bears. See, I'm going to get in trouble, but I do think they're about a middling team. I think they could probably get to 7 wins. I mean, they were relative. What did they win? 5 games last year? Something like that. Ben Johnson is at least a smarter offensive mind than Matt Eberflus. Hopefully, he knows how to properly use his timeouts, although we'll see about that. I just don't know that the Bears are, as a roster, that good, and I'm not going to fall for them. Like, I think it could be a sneaky wild card team if they get to that upper echelon, that 9-win mark, but no, I just, like, the Bears, we'll see. It's a new head coach. I'm not sure if Caleb Williams is that guy. And especially, I don't even know if that's going to be a good fit because Ben Johnson really likes the play action, and Caleb Williams is not really much of a play action quarterback. So we'll see, but I'm not too high on them. The Bengals, kind of a similar deal. Joe Burrow is very good. The offense is going to be very good. The defense is probably going to be very bad. I wouldn't be surprised if they fire their head coach, whose name escapes me at this moment. Hold on. Cincinnati Bengals head coach, Zach Taylor. I would not be surprised if Zach Taylor is not fired by the end of the season. He's just not that good of a head coach. And I think basically that Super Bowl run was more Joe Burrow and less Zach Taylor. It doesn't help that the organization is not very good and they're not giving him that good of a defense, but it is what it is. They just feel like a team that you're going to get a lot of points on the board, but you're not going to win a lot of games. So, yeah. Browns, yeah, they're in the 0-3 category. This is a terrible team that has pretty much no redeeming qualities. They got a decent defense, So it might be like you see them lose games like 21-7 in that range, but they're just not good. They're just not good. I mean, you got like 5 quarterbacks on this roster, and none of them are that appealing. Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco is starting football games for the Cleveland Browns. Now, granted, he was the last quarterback to lead them to the playoffs, but yeah, it's not good in Cleveland. They're going to be a very bad team. The Dallas Cowboys, yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably get 4 or 5 wins. They were terrible last year. Jerry Jones decided to make his defense even worse than it was last year by trading Micah Parsons. I don't really know that their offense is that much of a threat either, because Dak is a fine enough quarterback, but he is obviously not a huge difference maker for them. And I don't really trust their new head coach. I just don't nothing about the Cowboys screams anything remotely good. So, and they're playing in a tough division. So, yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be very good. The Denver Broncos. This is a tough one, but I'm going to say I am going to say they could get to that 10-win mark. I'm going to be a little bit higher on the Broncos than I might really feel that comfortable being, because I'm not a huge believer in Sean Payton, and I'm also not a huge believer in Bo Nix. But I do like their defense. I do think that, I mean, obviously they made the playoffs last year, so they were doing something right, at least on one side of the football. If Bo Nix can prove me wrong, it's kind of like Kyler Murray, but obviously a little bit less experience with Bo Nix. If Bo Nix is actually a really good quarterback, or at the very least a above average quarterback, then yeah, they're probably going to get to that 10-win mark. They're playing in a tough division, but I don't think that the Chiefs are as big of a threat. So I think they could be threatening for that division this year. A division is pretty open. So yeah, I could see them getting to that double-digit win total. I think they got to 9 wins last year. Maybe they got to 10 wins last year. Obviously, they made the playoffs. So if they continue on that trajectory, then they're on the right course, and that means 10 to 12 wins in my book. My Detroit Lions, I'm going to put them in the 10 to 12 win category. I do think they're probably in the upper echelon of that. I think they can get to 12 wins for sure. But it's very likely they get to that 11 win mark. The over-under, I believe, on Vegas is 10.5 or 9.5 maybe. I can't remember exactly. Look, the Lions are a superstar-studded team on both sides of the football, on every level of the football, or every level of the field. They have some guy that you're like, that guy's a stud, or that guy is a superstar. They're going to get Aiden, I was going to say Aiden Childs. They're going to get Aiden Hutchinson back on defense. He is going to be a difference maker for them. And their defense played well in certain stretches last year without him. And when they had him in those first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I want to say they were a top 5 defense in the league. And now, obviously, you got new coordinators on offense and defense. It's tough, but I think there is a sense of continuity even with those coordinators, because Calvin Shepard, your former linebackers coach, is your DC. John Morton, who used to be your quarterback coach, is your OC. So you got some continuity there. And the talent is what the talent is. So you're going to be another good football team. I think, yeah, upper echelon of that 10-12 win mark for the Lions for sure. Eagles, kind of a similar deal with Detroit. Obviously, they're the reigning Super Bowl champs, so I think they're going to be probably in that upper echelon. But I do think that their defense takes a little bit of a step back. Like I said earlier in the show, they lost a few guys on defense. I think Saquon Barkley is not going to have the amazing, incredible season he had last year. You probably are doomed for regression in that regard. You played a lot of football games, so usually you kind of fall back from where you were. They do start the season with the Cowboys, so they'll at the very least have a practice game to start the season. But yeah, I mean, they're playing in a relatively tough division with the Commanders. I wouldn't say it's a hugely tough division because it's really just them or the Commanders in my mind. And then maybe the Giants can be sneaky, but I'd be shocked if that's the case. So yeah, I think the Eagles 10-12 wins for sure. The Falcons. I guess I'd put them in this mid cat. Like the Falcons are just the mid. They are the Atlanta mid. That's what they are. Michael Penix is a fine quarterback. I don't really know if Raheem Morris is that amazing. I mean, He was fine last year. Kirk Cousins was a disaster. They're still paying him. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't just try to buy him out or I don't know. I don't know what they could do. They're just in a weird spot. Like they got a lot of talented players, at least on offense. Defense is questionable. Their offense is also kind of questionable. I just feel like they're just kind of mid. They can feast on some of the bad divisional opponents, but that's about it. The Packers, yeah, they're certainly a 10 to 12 win team. They just added Micah Parsons. Their defense is going to be very scary. Their offense is still a question mark, I believe. I don't think that their offense is really all that good. You got a lot of young receivers, and a lot of those receivers are either hurt or have been hurt prior, like Christian Watson. He didn't really play that much last year, if I recall. Like he was just not reliable. But you had Jaden Reed kind of step up there, but he's now questionable. I don't think their offensive line is that good. And Jordan Love, I also don't think is that good. But the defense is good enough. I think they can get into that 10-win mark fairly easily, at least on the backs of their defense. I kind of feel similar to them, and this is going to sound kind of weird, I think, to a lot of Packers fans. I kind of feel similar to them as I feel about the Broncos and I guess the Cardinals, where it's like, I don't think they're going to win the division, but I do think that they could certainly threaten that division, and they'll play some tough games, and we'll learn a lot after that week 1, especially about Jordan Love. But yeah, I think they're about a 10-win team. Houston Texans, yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably put them in that 10-12 win category. Their division is terrible, so it's basically their division to lose. Defense is really good. They got Danielle Hunter. They got, oh my gosh, Anderson. Isn't that right? Yeah. I don't want, it's not Max Anderson. Why am I blanking on the guy's name? Whatever. They got a great defensive line. Derek Stingley as well. Like their defense is not the problem. The problem is going to be their offense because CJ Stroud took a step back last year, and then their offensive line got worse for some reason. I don't know what they were thinking when they watched last year's tape. I don't know why they thought, you know what, let's make our O-line even worse. That seems kind of stupid. Their wide receiver room, similar to Green Bay, is just injury prone. It's Nico Collins, Tank Dell, two guys who really can't stay healthy. Like we'll see, but I don't know. I think it's their division to win, or their division to lose, I should say. So they'll be in the playoffs. Just really, is that offense gonna get hot when it needs to be? And I'm not too confident on that. The Colts. Yeah, I think the Colts are gonna be awful. I like Anthony Richardson is officially benched. You're putting in Danny Derps, and it just, I still don't really know what the identity of this Colts team is. Maybe you think I'm being too harsh on them. Maybe they get to, they get to 4. They're in a bad division. They might get to 4. Yeah, okay. I'll say they could get to 4, but I don't know. Daniel Jones is terrible. Steichen, the coach there, I don't know what they're doing. They're basically the AFC version of the Saints, and we'll get to them later. So we'll just leave them at that. Jags, yeah, kind of a similar deal. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't really like what they're doing. They got a new head coach, so maybe you think new head coach bump, but no, the more I really look at the Jags, they got Travis Hunter, who is going to be probably the best weapon that Trevor Lawrence has had to this point, but we'll see, because he's going to try to be played on both sides of the ball, and that, to me, that just seems like a disaster in the making. So, yeah, don't have a whole lot of trust in the Jags. Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, to me, if you have Patrick Mahomes on your team, you're basically a 10-win team, at least. Like, that division, to me, it's theirs until they lose it. I think they could lose it. I already put the Broncos up there as a 10-win team. But, yeah, the Chiefs, they just have Mahomes, and they find ways to win games. Their defense is going to be good. I think their offense is going to struggle, especially without Rasheed, who is probably their best receiver. And one of their really only receivers. I guess they got Xavier Worthy, but yeah, the Chiefs are a good team. They're well coached. They're well coached. They got a good quarterback. They got an elite quarterback. What am I talking about? Yeah, they're just going to default to 10 wins unless disaster strikes and the clock finally strikes midnight. The Go Chargers go. And you have 3 10-win teams in that division? I'm going to say you could. The thing is, between the Broncos and the Chargers, one of those 2 teams is going to fall back. And I'm not sure which one it is going to be. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it's more likely that it'll be the Broncos than it'll be the Chargers. But Chargers lose Slater for the season during the preseason, during training camp, which sucks, obviously. So their offensive line is obviously going to be weaker, but they still got Joe Alt. They bring in Omari and Hampton in the first round, so the running game is going to be probably better than it has been. I'm still not totally sure if Justin Herbert is, elite at this point. Like he has not been able to put it together in the playoffs for sure. Now, granted, he's only made the playoffs a few times, but I mean, they're going to continue to win the uniform battle. I don't know if they're going to win the football battle. So I do think they could definitely get to that 10-win mark. Maybe they threaten the Chiefs for that division, but it's between them and the Broncos, and that doesn't make me feel good. If I'm a Chiefs hater, which I am, the fact that the 2 teams that could beat them for the division are the Chargers and the Broncos, 2 teams that I do not feel all that confident in, despite the fact that I think they both could get to 10 wins. I don't know. I'm not too confident in that. LA Rams. I feel like they're going to be kind of in the similar 9-win category. Matthew Stafford is concerning to me. He's not getting any younger. You lose Cooper Kupp, who is probably your best wide receiver. You're moving into the new era, right? You Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. That's your new Rams era. I like Puka. I like Kyron. I just don't know if Matthew Stafford, I don't know how many years he's got left. He's one of the older quarterbacks in this league. And if his offensive line does not protect him and he goes down, things could go down real quick. Now, I think they got Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup, who's a solid enough backup. But if he's playing for a good portion of the season, yeah, you're going to be looking at 7, 8, 9 wins. That's going to be your range, pretty much. And now the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders. Well, I guess there's got to be one odd team out. Yeah, I mean, they did have an interesting offseason. They get Pete Carroll. They get Geno Smith. They draft Ashton Janty. They sign Max Crosby. None of this changes how I feel about the Raiders. They're just not that good. They got Brock Bowers, who's probably the best tight end, if not the second best tight end in the league. He's going to be very good. But I said it last year. I don't know that Geno has a whole lot of time left. I think that Geno as a good quarterback era, that pretty much ended last year. Like, I don't think that he is the guy. He's certainly an upgrade from what they had last year, which was nothing. So they might be able to get to that 6-win mark, but that's about as far as it goes, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I just don't. And especially, when I think the Cardinals and the Rams are going to – or Cardinals and the Rams. The Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers, teams, all of them that I think it could be 10-win teams. I think all of those teams are better than the Raiders as currently constructed. So, yeah, somebody's got to fall down if that's the case. Miami Dolphins. Yeah, it's tough. I guess outside of the Jets or Patriots, I guess they're probably the best team in that division behind the Bills. Tua and Tyreek might get you some wins. Their offense is good, but their defense is very bad. That's pretty much all that there is to it. Tua is made of paper mache. Unfortunately, I really like Tua. I really want him to succeed, but I just don't think that it's going to work out. I feel like this is going to be last chance here for Mike McDaniel, and I don't think he's going to pass it. Would not be shocked if Mike McDaniel's without a job by the end of this season. Would not be shocked. Then we got the Minnesota Vikings. See, this is another interesting team. I feel like they're going to be in that same category as the Bears. J.J. McCarthy is the wild card. Is he a good enough quarterback to get them at least to kind of where they were when Kirk Cousins got hurt and then they were kind of shuffling through quarterbacks? I think he could be. He's going to be inheriting a very good spot. Jefferson, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, and then the defense is what it is. You saw how that defense was last year. They're very good. They have a very good roster, but it's a question of how good is this quarterback, or how much is this quarterback going to elevate them or bring them down? We saw Sam Darnold have a breakout year with a very similar roster to the one they have this year. The question is JJ McCarthy at least as good as Sam Darnold? And I don't know. He's coming off of an injury, and he hadn't played football in a very long time. And he doesn't have the other team signals anymore, so he's not cheating. So that's going to be a little difficult. Moving on to the Patriots. Oh, the Patriots. I'm sorry. I don't understand the hype about the Patriots. Drake May looked fine last year. He looked like a decent enough quarterback, certainly better than they've had last few years. I don't know who he's throwing to. Like Steph Diggs, that's your big wide receiver. That's not good. Their defense is what it is, which is not good. They go out and they get a new head coach. They get Mike Vrabel. I don't know. It feels the vibes are off about the Patriots for me. Some people are high enough. Some people are super high on the Patriots. I'm not there. I feel like they're probably going to be in. I feel like they're similar to the Raiders, and maybe that's me being too mean. But hey, Tom Brady owns the Raiders, so that's gotta. I feel good. Anybody? Hello. And now we get to the Saints. I'm not even being facetious here. I genuinely think the Saints could go 0-17. Like I genuinely like this Saints team is so bad. When I heard they were starting Spencer Rattler, my jaw hit the floor. You're starting Spencer Rattler, who was terrible at it. He wasn't even good in college. And now you're starting him here in New Orleans. I wouldn't be surprised if Alvin Kamara gets traded at the deadline. I wouldn't be surprised if any player of value on that team gets traded. What else I got? I got Chris Olave. Wouldn't be surprised if he's dealt, assuming they don't want to pay him. I don't. This team is just terrible. They're just terrible. I got nothing more to say. They're the NFC version of the Colts. Although the Colts, at least, I guess they're also in a bad division, but they're bad. They're really bad. Now we got the G-Men. Yeah, I mean, I think they could be okay. Like, I think they could be decent. But by decent, I mean like 5-6 wins. Like, maybe they found their guy in Jackson Dart. He did have a good preseason. Malik Neighbors is a stud, right? They got a good defense. To be fair to New York, they got a pretty solid defense. But yeah, I don't know. Not much else after that. Like that, they're just not good. The Jets. Oh boy, this is tough. Yeah, they're probably in that 4-6 range as well. It's a bad time to be a New York sports fan New York football fan, I should say. Because both the Jets and the Giants are just not good. They're just not good. Justin Fields is your quarterback, and that tells me what I need to know. You got a new coach in Aaron Glenn, who I do think could be successful there, but certainly not with Justin Fields. I think this is their year where they're tanking. Maybe they hope that Arch Manning figures it out in Texas. That seems unlikely, and we'll get to that in mere moments here. But yeah, don't believe in the Jets. Do not. Then we got the Steelers. Oh man, the Steelers. Gosh, where do I even put them? Okay. I feel like they could get to 7. Their defense is good enough to get to 7 wins. Aaron Rodgers is terrible. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if they got DK Metcalf. I don't care. All right. Aaron Rodgers is awful. Okay. Don't kid yourself, Steelers fans. He's terrible. He's going to be terrible. But their defense is at least good enough. Mike Tomlin is at least good enough. Maybe they get to 7 wins. Maybe this will be the year where Mike Tomlin's winning record streak finally comes to an end. But I'm gonna at least, put myself in the 7-9. So at least the possibility that he does get to 9-8. At least then he still has that winning season. So. The Seahawks. Oh boy. Seattle. No, I'm sorry. I realize I'm putting a lot of teams in the 4 and 6 category, but it is what it is, man. I just don't really trust them. I don't. I don't think that Sam Darnold is that guy. I know they went out and they got Cooper Kupp, but pairing him with Jackson Smith and Jigba, that could be a decent team. I just don't really understand what they're doing, and that's Maybe you say they could get to that 7-8. Actually, you know what? I'll be nice. Maybe they get to 7. They could get to 7. I feel like Sam Darnold got that bag, and Seattle's going to realize why he never got that bag before. At least not from a good team. It just feels like, moving the chairs on the Titanic, because Geno Smith was not great with them that last year. I think they're going to get a very similar result with Sam Darnold. All right, Tampa Bay. Yeah, definitely a 10-12 win team. I don't want to say 13 because I don't think they're that good. But their division is not very good. So I think they're going to feast on the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers of the world. Baker Mayfield is one of the top quarterbacks in my mind. He is a tough guy to beat, and their defense is also tough. So they did get it. They got Ime Igbuka, the receiver out of Ohio State, new young gun for Baker Mayfield there. I don't know how many years Mike Evans has got left. Chris Godwin is a decent receiver as well, but again, I don't know how many years either of those guys got left together. So they go out and they get a receiver. I think it could work out, but once they get to the playoffs is really the question. Is whether Baker can lead them to the promised land. And I'm not so sure. Titans. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be terrible again. Like I don't like they got Cam Ward, so maybe I'm being too mean, but if your offseason was basically drafting a quarterback that almost nobody else really wanted, and that was pretty much it, then I just don't see this team being good in any stretch. Yeah, it's similar to, I don't know. I guess it's similar to maybe Carolina, where this roster is just it's certainly not where it needs to be. Maybe they could get to 4, but I think they're probably on that upper echelon. They get to probably 3 at least, but outside of that, I don't know. They just not a roster that fills one with confidence. And finally, the Washington Commanders. I'm going to put them probably in that 10-win category. They're going to be competing for that division, but we'll see. I mean, I think we could see a similar record to what the Texans had last year. Again, I brought it up. Sometimes it's tough for some of these new rookie quarterbacks. They have great rookie years, and then their second year, things kind of go haywire. So there it is. So I guess I got the 2 upper teams as Bills and Ravens. A lot of teams kind of mixed in there. A lot of division winners / division contender teams in the 10-12 win category. 10-12 win category. Then you got kind of your mid category here. Then you got your not embarrassingly bad, but still pretty bad. And then you got your bottom 3. Hopefully you are not a Tennessee football fan. I'll just say that. Best part about Tennessee going into this year is those Oilers uniforms. So that's that. I'm probably going to be embarrassingly wrong, so feel free to remember this video and embarrass me in the future. Okay. Let me just. Hold on. Stop sharing. You know what? I can just save the image. And then I'm going to put this in our little handy dandy folder. 2025. Okay. All right. So I do want to get to college football here, although I know we're running a little on here. Running a little long here, so Do I want to get to college football or do I want to just move along? That's the question. That is the question. You know, we're over an hour into this. I'd feel bad if I didn't mention anything about college football. So you know what? We're gonna be quick. We're just gonna deal with this quickly. All right. So my first thing, I gotta talk about Michigan State. Michigan State 23-6 win. I got a few talking points. Didn't cover the spread against a MAC team at home. It's a tale of two halves. First half, Michigan State looked excellent. Offense, defense, everything was clicking. Childs was hitting Nick Marsh for touchdowns. The running game looked great. And overall, Childs did have a good night. No picks, couple of strip sacks. Only ended up with one fumble that ended up with the other team as a turnover. But that second half was just not good. And I can't get that second half out of my mind. Now, look. People were saying they were swapping linemen out. I guess I get doing that in this game, right? Because Western Michigan, there was no world in which Western Michigan was going to win that game. There just wasn't. So you're trying to get a look at what you have. I just fundamentally, I want to cover the spread when I play a garbage team like Western Michigan. And maybe that'll be what happens, not next week, but maybe the week after against Youngstown State. But yeah, I didn't come away from this feeling like super chesty about Michigan State. At least on the offensive side. The defense, I was pleasantly surprised. Didn't give up any points. There were a couple spots there where it was fourth down in your own territory or third down, and you got the stop. You had a few sacks in there. You had a pick in there. Yeah, I thought it was good. Omari Kelly, great transfer so far. He was basically Aiden Childs' wide receiver one, essentially. He was really, really good. And so he was your leading receiver, 75 yards. So, yeah, I like good stuff. I'd like to see more from Nick Marsh and just more of Omari Kelly and the run game as well. Frazier was excellent. Like it was just. I just want them to play a full game. And you know, by the end of this week, after they play Boston College, then we'll really know. You know, then we're going to know, basically. Like, if they go out there and they lose to Boston College, then Jonathan Smith needs to be fired. But if they go out there and they beat Boston College, then all right, that's an improvement. Because last year you lost to that Boston College team. Now, granted, it's not the same team, but still. You can go undefeated in your out-of-conference games. That, to me, is at least a win, right? Now, if they do it and they look ugly, and it's like, you know, basically 14-10, you know, then I'm like right back where we started. I'd be happy about the win, but I just need to see a full game of football where not everything goes right for you, but where you're just firing on all cylinders, where Childs is escaping coverages and making plays on his feet like he did in this game. And he's making good throws, and the run game is there, and the defense is coming up with big stops. I just need to see that, and I didn't really see that all of this game. I saw the defense making stops all game, but I didn't see the offense really drive the knife in. And shout out to Alisio Milivojevic, or whatever his name was, because if it wasn't for him, Michigan State actually would have covered the spread, but they didn't. So, yeah. Moving along then to the rest of college football. Just looking back at week one, a couple of takeaways. So takeaway number one, Ohio State beats the number one team in the country in Texas, and Arch Manning may be very overrated. Like, I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of college football games where, you know, a good quarterback plays poorly. That game for Arch Manning, that was horrible. That was just horrible. For the way that Fox was hyping this team up, for the way that the AP, they gave them the number one team, right? Like, everything was built around Arch Manning is going to be so good. Remember how good Peyton was? Remember how good Eli was? He's going to be like them. When the reality is actually, no, he was not at all. And that's not good. Not good for Texas for sure. I think going into this right now, Arch Manning, certainly the most overrated player in college football. He's going to need to step it up next week. I'll just say that. That's for sure. The other thing I want to talk about is it finally time to call out Deion Sanders in Colorado? I mean, not only do you lose to a team that hadn't won a on the road out of conference game in like 7 years, you also do it in such a fashion where you had the opportunity to tie or take the lead in this game. You had the football with like a minute and some change to go, and you just completely botch it by opting not to use your timeouts, by opting not to just not playing good ball. And look, I saw this coming. I think a lot of people could have seen this coming. It's just bad. Like, he's just not good. He doesn't offer anything other than his personality. And unfortunately, I think his personality has gone sour. So at least my mind, for sure. But yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if people really start to realize that this guy's not good by the end of this year. I mean, people were already starting to say it, but I think the reality is what it is right now. So the other one I want to talk about is Alabama. I mean, what the hell was that? What the hell was that, Alabama? You went into this game, nobody was taking Florida State. Nobody in the universe thought Florida State had even a remote chance of winning this game. And not only did they win it, they massacred you. They won 31-17. They stormed the field. I mean, you were the number 8 team in the country. Really? That's crazy. That's crazy. Ty Simpson, he actually had a decent game. 254 with 2 touchdowns, but he threw the ball 43 times, so I'd hope he'd have that many yards. They didn't run the ball well. Ryan Williams is basically a non-factor. And yeah, you just got blown out by Florida State on the road, granted. But yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad. Alabama, I don't know. Is Kalen DeBoer already on the hot seat? Which would be crazy. He's only a few years removed from a national championship berth with Washington of all teams. And now he's already on the hot seat. Hey man. Welcome to this SEC. So, and then finally, I want to try to make this a segment, so to speak. Just a pointer. Last week's game of the week, definitely the Miami win over Notre Dame. This was an outstanding game. They definitely nailed this as the Sunday night primetime game before the NFL. All the way down to the wire. Notre Dame coming back from behind. CJ Carr playing, I think, a really good game. Carson Beck having a little bit of a revenge tour, a couple of touchdowns for him. Like, just a great overall game. Like, just from top to bottom, a fun game. So Miami gets the win. They get the upset. And, is the ACC going to be kind of interesting now? Is Florida State actually good? Is Clemson, they lose to LSU. Are they, still the top dogs, or is Miami going to try to take it from them? We'll see. If we can get more games like this, college football is going to be fun this year. However, unfortunately, this week in college football completely blows. All right. And when I say completely blows, I mean completely blows. Okay. You have maybe one good game on this schedule, and it's Oklahoma, Michigan. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else here. I mean, are you really going to say that, I don't know, South Carolina taking on South Carolina State, that's a big game for people? Or, Auburn and Ball State? What even is the big noon game? Isn't it? I think the big noon game on Fox, and this just shows you how bad this week is, Iowa at Iowa State. That sounds terrible. That sounds like something I do not want to be a part of at all, in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that's not good. Not good. Not a good week. But Oklahoma, Michigan, that's probably the game to watch for. I will not be watching because I'll be watching Michigan State. But I guess I'll probably have my eye on it. But it's, national television on ABC. You're going to see Bryce Underwood, bright lights in the SEC against a big-time opponent. He looked good against New Mexico, but this is not going to be New Mexico. That I think everybody can be willing to admit that. So we'll see. And then as far as Michigan State goes, like I already said, if you don't beat Boston College, then Jonathan Smith should be fired. And that might seem like an extreme thing, but like if this team is basically the exact same as last year, then I'm done. Like I'm just done. You gotta get lost at this point. Because you're gonna start seeing decommits. It's bad. You can't lose to Boston College. Please don't lose to Boston College. I know they have God on their side, but please don't lose to Boston College. All right. So I think that is all. So I will be right back, and then we will get to the final segment of the show. We'll get to the picks. So get hype. But I'll be right back for now. All right. So it is finally time. It is everybody's favorite part of the show. It is the part that gets talked about constantly. Everybody's coming up to me. They're like, Mike, when's the picks coming back? It's like, it's the offseason. I can't do the picks. You guys know that these are related to actual games. We're not just saying names of teams. No. But it is indeed finally the picks. Hit the music. Just glorious. So, week 1 of the NFL season is upon us. Seth's picks are already in. He's obviously out working his rear off at the Home Depot. So, we will just proceed as normal. Opening the season, the Cowboys heading to the reigning Super Bowl champion, Fly Eagles Fly of Philadelphia. Eagles are going to roll. I mean, this is not a game that I didn't really think the Eagles were going to lose this game before. I definitely don't think they're going to lose this game now that Micah Parsons is no longer a Cowboy. Eagles roll by 1,000. Not even a question. The Chiefs, technically not visiting the Chargers. This game is in Sao Paulo. I am going to say the Chargers will eke this one out. Look, this Chiefs team is good. Obviously, I've already talked about how much I like Mahomes. Or how Mahomes is automatically going to get them 10 wins this year. It's just how it works. But I do feel like the Chargers coming off of their playoff berth season, you know, I feel like they're going to be feisty. They went out, they got a new running back, Amari and Hampton. I like it. I'm a little high on the Chargers. I'm gonna give it. And Seth, you know, he's a big Charger fan. I want him to feel good. So give me the Chargers. Buccaneers at the Falcons. I'm gonna take the Bucks in this game. Seth is taking the Falcons in this one. Oh, and by the way, he took the Eagles and the Chargers. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, I don't trust this Falcons team that much. I trust Baker Mayfield, and I trust that Bucks team far more than I do the Falcons. So yeah, no, give me Baker Mayfield and the boys for sure. Bengals at the Browns. I mean, like, I do think that it's possible the Browns could win this game because they seem to always play the Bengals pretty well. And last year we saw the debacle of the Bengals losing to the Patriots last year. But yeah, the Bengals, they've got to be better than that. Like, there's no way their offense is just going to do nothing, right? Right? I don't know. I hope so. Dolphins at the Colts. Jeez, this is the worst game I could imagine right now. I guess I'll take the Fins. Like, you're starting Daniel Jones. That's all I have to say. It's not a good team. You know, you're starting Daniel Jones if you're the Colts. I actually don't even think I need to say more. That's it. Dolphins. Panthers at the Jaguars. Yeah, give me the Jaguars. As much as I'm not a huge believer in the Jags, I'm probably a little bit more of a believer in them. Their defense is probably better than the Panthers is. And, you know, maybe Travis Hunter has a really big game. You know, like maybe if Travis Hunter goes out, he has a pick and a touchdown. Fantasy owners are going to feel real good. I'll just say that. Give me the Jaguars. Raiders at the Patriots. This is a tough one. You know, I feel like the hopium juices are gonna flow. Give me the Patriots. At home, you know, new coach. I guess they both got new coaches. Mike Vrabel back, Pete Carroll back. I like the home field advantage here for the Patriots. Greg May, you know, look, he was probably the best part of their season last year. If he can take that step forward and help this team, help elevate this team, I mean, then yeah, I think they could be better than the Raiders, but they're very similar teams. So I could see this going either way. Cardinals at the Saints. Cardinals, not even a question. It is kind of funny that the Cardinals are playing the Saints, given we just had a papal election. There's a Catholicism reference in there, so take for that what you will. Yeah, I think the Cardinals, they could very well win that division, and the Saints are terrible. You're starting Spencer Rattler. Alvin Kamara is not getting any younger. You got I don't know if I can name a Saints player on defense. Honestly, like I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't think I could do it. Yeah, give me the Cardinals. Steelers at the Jets. I do think the Steelers can get the win. The Aaron Rodgers revenge game. Their defense is just too good for a Justin Fields-led offense. It's gonna be an ugly game. Nobody's gonna like this game. I do think that the Steelers come away with the win. Give me the Steel Curtain. Giants at the Commanders. Give me the Communists for sure. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels, I do think there's an innate possibility that he has a step back year, but I don't think that it's going to show itself in this game against the Giants. Giants are running Russell Wilson. They got a decent defense, so maybe the pass rush gives Jaden Daniels a little bit of trouble, but going to be in Washington. That place is going to be popping for sure. So, yeah, give me the Commanders. Titans taking on the Broncos in Denver. Give me the Broncos. I do think that, again, that's a Broncos team that could be contending for that division. So I think, you know, they're coming up against a very bad Titans team. You know, the rookie quarterback, I feel fairly strongly about the Broncos. Certainly on defense, I don't think the Titans are really going to be able to score much. Give me the Broncos. 49ers at the Seahawks. I'm going to actually take the Seahawks in this one. The 49ers come back to health a little bit there. But, you know, the Seahawks, they hit Sam Darnold, who I don't really like that much. They always get Cooper Kupp, which people forget that he's on the Seahawks. I do think this could be similar to the Patriots. This could be their hopium game. This could be their game where, like, oh my gosh, we actually won. We're 1-0. This is our year. We're back. Seattle, everything. We're back. Oh my gosh. No. And it's just, no. They're going to be probably middle of the road. But I think they could get the win against a 49ers team that is kind of on the down. And then we got the Lions taking on the Packers in Lambeau, America's game of the week. Come on now. I'm wearing the Dan Campbell shirt for a reason. Give me the Lions all day. Look, all that I've heard all offseason is how much better every other team has gotten. And at the Lions, you know, they're just an afterthought. I think they have been feasting on all of that. Very good. Oh, we lost the connection there. Oh, we're back? Okay, I think we're back. Hopefully. Hopefully we're good. Lions, I think, are going to be a very good team. Their offense is almost unstoppable. That Packers defense is going to have a run for its money, for sure. But Lions beat them in Lambeau last year in bad weather conditions. This is going to be probably the best weather conditions you could get playing in Lambeau. So, yeah, give me the Lions for sure. Next, we got Texans taking on the Rams. Seth is taking the Rams. I'm gonna go Texans here. I do think the Rams are that's gonna be a kind of a tough bout. I could definitely see the Rams getting it done, but I'm not sure how much I trust Stafford at this stage. I don't know if age is gonna get to him. I don't know if his back is still functioning. Yeah, I'm not too sold on him. I'm gonna go with the Texans. I think they can get kind of a bounce back year started here with a win at LA. Then Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a great game. Ravens at the Bills, my two top teams in football. Seth is taking the Ravens, and I think I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to take the Ravens. Look, this has nothing to do with the fact that I got Derrick Henry in fantasy, but I also have Dalton Kincaid in fantasy. So, like, I think that the Ravens, they have a more finished defense. The Bills do not have a good defense, or at least not a more finished defense. You know, like, I think the Ravens, last time they played, the Ravens knocked the doors off of them. Now, that's last year. It's a totally different world, totally different team. I know all that. I do think that the Ravens are going to get the win here. They're going to start their season off with a bang. Last year, they should have had a win against the Chiefs to start their year, but they didn't. So, yeah, give me the Ravens. They're gonna get it done this time. And finally, Vikings at the Bears on Monday Night Football. Seth is taking the Vikings. Wow, all right, he's a little chesty on the Vikings. Here's what I think. I think the Bears will get it done, but it won't be that good. I think they'll look decent for a couple of drives. This could go one of two ways, honestly. Like, this could go the way of, I don't know, who was it? The coach. Oh my gosh, what was his name? Oh no, what was his name? I can't. Whatever. The other way I was thinking was Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, his first game as Lions head coach, coming off as defensive coordinator of the Patriots. He played Monday Night Football. He played the Jets, and Sam Darnold lit his ass up. His defense and his whole team looked terrible. I could see that happening for the Bears because it's in Chicago. But I don't think that he's as bad as Matt Patricia. I mean, he can't be. Nobody is as bad as Matt Patricia. So give me the Bears. I think they'll get it done, but I don't think it'll be a pretty game. So rounding it all out, Cowboys, Eagles. We both got the Eagles. Chiefs, Chargers. We both got the Chargers. Buccaneers, Falcons. I've got the Bucks. Seth has got the Falcons. Bengals, Browns. We both got the Bengals. Dolphins, Colts. We both got the Dolphins. Panthers, Jaguars. We both got the Jaguars. Raiders, Patriots. I've got the Patriots. Seth has got the Raiders. Cardinals, Saints, we both got the Cardinals. Steelers, Jets, we both got the Steelers. Giants, Commanders, we both got the Commanders. Titans, Broncos, we both got the Broncos. 49ers, Seahawks. I've got the Seahawks. Seth has got the 49ers. Lions, Packers. We both got the Lions. Texans, Rams. I've got the Texans. Seth has got the Rams. And Ravens, Bills. We both got the Ravens. And finally, Vikings, Bears. I've got the Bears. Seth has got the Vikings. And those are your Week 1 NFL picks. Woo! That was crazy. That was fun. Man, I missed that. Meanwhile, the Tigers are getting murdered, so that's fun. Not for me, but fun for other people. Certainly fun for Mets fans. Jeez. Pitching is really taking a dive. It's really taking a dive, that's for sure. Okay. Well, with all that being said, that's the end of the show. Look, we'll be live this Saturday night for Saturday Night Football. Michigan State taking on Boston College. And then Sunday afternoon. Oh, Sunday afternoon. We'll be back. Lions and Packers. We're officially back, folks. We are officially back. It's going to be a good time. If you did enjoy, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button. We'll be live, like I said, once again on Saturday, next week's show as well. Breaking down all the football news of the day, of the week, of it all. And that's it. I'll hope to see you guys on Saturday. Have a good rest of your night. See you later. Goodbye. See ya. See you later.